So because censorship isn't enough in the gaming world, we need more of it, according to the Xbox boss, who wants cross-platform ban for destructive conversation. So he doesn't like toxic people, but he likes their money. In other words, I don't know if you noticed this, unlike YouTube or Facebook or any other social media, in the gaming world, if you get banned, you can just buy the game again. You pay them more money, and all of a sudden you get a new account. You can't do that on Facebook. You can't do that on Twitter. So obviously, these corporations make money if they ban you, because a lot of people are addicted to video games, so they're dumb enough and they're going to buy the game again. Imagine getting banned from Xbox and then buying a new Xbox in order to play games, but people are literally that stupid, so companies can make money. Think about it. This was never an issue 5 or 6 years ago. Like, you could play whatever video game you wanted, and if there was a person that was toxic, you just mute them. And toxic people like myself would get muted by a lot, and eventually we realized, okay, well, we gotta change if we want to still be able to talk to people, because in a gaming community, if you're an asshole, word traveled around and eventually everyone would ban you. So you had to work your way up into the graces of people. You had to stop insulting people, you had to stop being toxic, but this was the community policing itself. It wasn't a higher up deciding, okay, this is not allowed to be talked and whatever. So now you notice that all of these private companies, they're coming up with new ways of being invasive. They're using AI to monitor your private conversations. They actively say that they're going to monitor everything you post. So you have no privacy anymore, which is kind of nice considering that you're a kid and you learn to live without privacy, and then you get as an adult and you're also supposed to think that not having privacy is a good thing. So yeah, my private company can do whatever it wants. The only problem is, though, that competition makes it impossible for these people to have these authoritarian bullshit. Because the moment you have authoritarian bullshit, your competitor might choose not to have it. So then you can travel all the way to the competition. Believe it or not, most people want to play soccer without mommy and daddy staying on the sidelines and tone policing them and making sure that what they say isn't being problematic. No, like most people like to play and with other people without being bothered by this nonsense. So the only way you can have it if it's cross-realm. So in other words, like imagine this, okay? Like imagine you're buying a PlayStation and you're having a library of games worth of $5,000, which you bought over the years. I mean, some people are like that. They like collecting games. And then you say something on Xbox and you get banned on PlayStation. Does that make sense? Absolutely not. And you know what? It would probably violate a lot of European laws. I know Americans are like, my private company can do whatever it wants, but here in Europe, my private company does what the government wants. So it's not like that. The idea that you can spend money on games and then have the games taken away from you, because now you have gaming as a service, which everyone wanted, by the way. Like, no one forced gaming as a service, but it is. You know, you don't own your game. You only have the ability to access those games. And that access can be taken away from you unilaterally at any time. But it doesn't work like that in the European Union. Yeah, so it's one of the good things, like consumers, they still are protected from these companies which are getting more and more monopolistic. I mean, the idea of having an industry-wide blacklist, it's like very monopolistic. So that means that they would also have the same TOS industry-wide. Right? So that's the only way it makes sense, because like, why would it be so if you violate a TOS on Xbox, you get banned on PlayStation? So the new interview with Phil Spencer, and by the way, this is like gamers not saying how dare you with what right, and just stop buying this product. I mean, I'm surprised how Xbox is still a thing, honestly. I mean, I went out of my way never to purchase one. And this is due to the fact that the shit they tried to pull with Xbox One. I don't know how many of you remember this, but a couple of years ago, they released this Xbox One thing, and they said that it's online only, like there's no way you can play it offline, because what it did is it gathered data about you in order to sell it to developers, so they would monetize your existence. It had a Kinect only mode, so you couldn't opt out of the Kinect feature, which is a webcam that, according to them, monitored your heart rate so they can see when you're excited during video games and whatnot. So again, to monetize your existence. And they said, no, we can't do it any other way. Like, this is how it needs to be done. And they got so much backlash that they had to backpedal. And the only reason they backpedal is because Sony wasn't having any of that shit. Like, you could just play a PlayStation like you used to before. Oh, and not to mention, like, they didn't want you to have the ability to trade games. So the games on your Xbox were only yours and you couldn't trade them. I mean, anything a company wanted, like the corpo dream, was at Xbox. And the problem is, it's like, the economy isn't built on what corporations want. It's a constant negotiation between the corporations and the customers. Because the customers, they want to pay as little for a good product. And the companies, they want you to pay the most for a product that they invest as little resources. So it's a conflict of interest. And it requires negotiation. The problem is that every single time gamers try to get together and push that interest, you have usually AstroTurfs and other people that are like, oh no, like, you're so silly. How dare you? How dare you mock the Xbox? You don't understand. You need to buy one. You need to buy one right now. You're so silly if you don't buy one. Right? So it's people within the gamers that are making sure that the community doesn't punish these companies for the bullshit that they're putting. Because right now, Xbox stocks should plummet after this. I don't know any gamer that wants to be censored. I haven't met that gamer yet. I'm pretty sure they exist, but I don't know how many gamers like want to play games with mommy and daddy in the room. So if you don't want to do that, why would you want to play with big corporation in the room? So apparently Spencer comments follow waves of sexual harassment at big competitors like Activision. Yeah, this is another thing. You know, like all these companies that lecture you about how to be a good, decent human, and it turns out that their chief executives are sexually abusing women at their companies. How does that work, right? Like, if anything, I would think that these people, like the boss of Xbox, he should have microphones in his office. And maybe he should be held with the same standards with the people working at Sony. So if the person at Sony commits sexual abuse, then the guy at Xbox needs to be fired as well. Oh, they wouldn't like that very much, would they? I wonder why. But it's the system that they want implemented on us. What a bunch of assholes. So in the interview, he said that Microsoft new AI, again, like, monitor the sentiment of a conversation to help detect when a conversation is getting to a destructive point. This is what you get if you use the Xbox chat system. This is what you get. You get literal Stasi way of monitoring your privacy. You have AI that monitors your conversation. How fucked up is this? If you went back in time 10 years ago and you told people that this spyware is going to be installed in every single console, no one would have bought those consoles. Like, there is no way Microsoft would be as popular as it is today if you managed to take this information back to people in the past and show them where the technology is heading. So you're playing video games with your friends in your room, and there's a spyware from Microsoft into your console, listening to your conversation. What if I ask the parent, don't want to consent? Oh, well, I guess you just don't buy an Xbox, and then other gamers get to go like, oh, you're so stupid for not buying an Xbox. You're so ridiculous. But seriously, just buy a Nintendo. They're not doing this shit. Or better yet, buy a PC. I mean, for the same amount of money that you would spend on an Xbox, you can buy a PC. Steam doesn't do any of this crap. You can play games on Steam, and you can voice chat on Discord or whatever, and you don't have to put with any of this bullshit. It's not that you're a bad person or anything, but it's the principle. With what right? How dare they? How dare they listen to your conversation? With what right? That is like the battle cry that you need to keep giving these companies. And when you have another gamer saying that, oh, you don't understand. No! How dare you talk to me like that? How dare you side with them? How dare you side with the corporations? That is the conversation that needs to be had. You need to be bigoted about it. You need to take pride in your bigotry. Bigotry needs to be your armor when it comes with dealing with these corporations. You need to be bigoted and strong in your convictions. How dare they? Listen to me what I say in my private time. So if I play with my girlfriend, Xbox has a year, and is listening into my private conversation, how dare they? There is no other argument. That is it, period. End of discussion. When it comes to your privacy, there is no negotiation. Let me know how you guys think, and I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.